The next session for today is creating fully integrated and dynamic marketing and digital advertising campaigns. And the session is moderated by Sujatha V. Kumar, Head of Marketing for India and South Asia, Visa. Can we have a huge round of applause for ma'am, please? Now I would like to invite the co-speakers for the session. Can we have Mr. Kashyap, Vadapalli, CMO, Pepperfry on stage? Can we have a huge round of applause for sir? Ratika, Bhargava, Head Sales and Marketing, Kama Aayurveda. A huge round of applause for ma'am. Yash Agarwal, ED, Ratandeep Supermarket. Vikas, Bissa, Head Marketing, Retail, Raymond. Amit, Thapliyal, Vice President Marketing, Altudo.
See everybody.
And Monica Singh, Head Marketing and PR, Bestseller, India. A huge round of applause for all our esteemed panelists.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a small group. May I ask two favors? Number one, can those in the front, please, please move to the front. And since it's a small group, we're going to try and make it interactive. We'll have a little bit of discussion, and then we'll actually open it to you for any questions that you may have and you'd like to ask the people here. So people in the back row, please, can you move to the front? That would be great. It'll help you interact with us a lot more as well. Okay, so the topic for today is actually a very interesting one. It's about creating fully integrated and dynamic marketing and digital advertising campaigns. So just a small background, as you all know, traditionally we've always done marketing. There used to be an offline and there used to be an online. That and was not too long ago. But cut to today, we have what we call omni-channel. And we have to market to consumers across channels with messaging that's also very similar. So how do we do that? Because marketing is no longer also just a one-way communication channel of us giving messages out. It's about engaging with your customers in two-way, hearing what they say, and then reacting to that as well, taking feedback, changing your products, doing whatever that needs to actually truly be a two-way communication channel. And in addition, the last thing is that today marketers are also, we also have a task and an ask on revenue. The actions we do are checked by everyone else as how does it impact the revenue on the return on marketing investments, how are we doing with consumer satisfaction scores, etc. So with that, what I'll do is we're going to start talking to the panel. You've heard them, but it's a very interesting panel because we have a mix of digital first brands. We have a number of brands which are largely started off as brick and mortar and today are getting into the digital space. And we also have a very interesting panelist who actually sits on the other side and creates a lot of the experiences that we in the marketers share with you as customers. So I'll start with you, Kashyap. Since you are a brand, and Kashyap heads Pepperfry marketing, a brand which a lot of us have used. I'm a loyal customer of Pepperfry. So your brand actually revolutionized how people bought furniture in India. So can you tell us how the journey began and how you're doing today in this whole omni-channel environment and bridging the gap between the offline and the online?
Sure. So obviously we started with the aim of, trying to disrupt, sorry to use the word, but the furniture market in India. Furniture buying experience in India was very fragmented. You could get really high quality stuff in a few boutique stores, but you would pay through your nose for it. If you went to a lot of other, stores, you're not really sure about the quality that you're getting. So we said that we want to use the power of technology to do 2-3 things. Number one, connect Indian manufacturers from manufacturing hubs like Jodhpur, Jaipur, Saharanpur, Churu, Moradabad, etc., which are traditional woodworking hubs, but most of their supply used to go abroad. We said that we really want to connect their supply to the Indian consuming class, which lives in, Bangalore, Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, etc. So that was one of our aims. We felt that there was a big opportunity there because those supply was not flowing into these cities. The second thing was obviously bringing in a lot more transparency into this category. today, if you walk into, if you look at a piece of furniture, you don't really know, you know, what you should pay for. Okay, if there is a phone, for example, you have a very good idea what you should pay for it. But in furniture, you don't know. So you need transparency. You need to know what the materials are. You need to know what the weight is. You need to know what the dimensions are. Uh, and you need to understand the product well. And then obviously there is a price. It is a journey. I don't think furniture buying is very transparent even today. But that's one of our, kind of goals. And thirdly, one of the things that we wanted to do differently was service. Whether you were working with your own carpenter in terms of, the carpenter doing customized work for you in your house, or whether you're dealing with a local retailer or even a large store, I think service in terms of uh, adhering to promise of delivery time, adhering to quality of installation, etc. All of those, I mean, when we started the organization, we felt that those were gap areas which needed to be filled, and we said that's the other thing that we should do. So connecting the markets, bringing transparency, structure, and organization to information in this category, and bringing a standardized service layer so that customers have a better experience. So that's how we started. On that journey, we started almost 8 years ago as an online company. But about 4 years ago, we started the journey of creating studios, what we call Pepperfry Studios. This is our omni-channel play. Uh, in the first 3.5, 4 years, we set up about 30 of those stores. In the last 12 months, we put up 35 more. So we're obviously accelerating on that front. We today have 65 stores across about 17, 18 cities in the country. And one of the reasons why we did that was because we realized that, while online is a great medium to browse and get some experience, I think furniture is a very sensory category. The colors, the touch and feel, the experience of sitting. Also, I think in general, education around this category was a little poor in terms of customers would go for fairly standard. I mean, think about your houses, let's say 5, 10 years back. Almost all houses would look very, very similar unless you were very specific about your design and you had a aesthetic sense yourself and you took that extra care to kind of bring that into your house. Otherwise, if you went to the market to buy stuff, you would get pretty much standardized stuff. So we wanted to provide design inspiration. So we wanted to provide a sensory experience and a design. And that's why we went down the omni-channel route. We obviously, the first 6 months we had one store. The next 6 months we had like 5 stores. Obviously, like I said, last 12 months, 35 stores. It's working really well for us. The thing is, but our DNA is very digital. I mean, we get about 4 lakh people on our digital platforms, app and website every single day. Across our 65 stores, we probably get about 2,000 visitors, on a daily basis. So where is 2,000 visits on the store and where is 4 lakh visits on the digital platform? So we figured that we needed to actually drive more people to the store. And why? Because the store conversion rates are phenomenal. Okay, you typically in an online scenario you get anywhere between 2 to 3% conversion, whereas in a store you get anything between 40 to 60% conversion. The average is 55 for us. The store ticket sizes are much larger. Online furniture is about 20,000. In the store you get about 80,000. So it made sense for us to figure out to send the right audiences into the stores, and which is where the whole omni-channel integrated marketing thing came in. So we put up signals on our website to identify whom we felt are people who are high value customers who might benefit from a visit to a store. People who are visiting multiple product groups, sofas, wardrobes, dining sets, etc. And they're looking at more than 10 SKUs or 20 SKUs in each of these products. Typically, they're obviously doing up their house. Okay, they're not just if you're just looking to buy one item, you would spend time in that product. So we said we put those signals, we captured that information, and what we did was we created a marketing campaign in terms of an SMS campaign, in terms of in terms of an email campaign to send these people to the store with a specific offer for them. So we looked at online behavior where 4 lakh people come in. We identified high value customers to their browse behavior on the site. We we layered marketing campaigns on top of that in terms of SMS or email to provide them incentives to actually walk into the store where conversion rates are much higher and they could potentially buy a larger.
Thanks. That's interesting. And now we move to the other side. So Kashyap was about digital first, online first, and moving to offline. Ratika, your brand Kama Ayurveda is, like I said, a beautiful retail experience. So offline is obviously the big starting point. how have you, how are you integrating that beautiful experience and taking that to the online space as well?
So when you say taking, so first of all, thank you. We're very proud of the brand that we've built over the last so many years now. But when you say taking that experience, do you mean the way the customers experience our stores?
Basically,
How are we
yeah.
taking that online?
So basically, how are you moving from, obviously, we're not going to ever not be offline. Offline will continue, but how do you give consumers that same experience or a similar experience online, and how are you balancing both?
So, for most of you here who don't know the brand, Kama Ayurveda is an authentic Ayurvedic beauty brand. We started our journey in 2002. Surprisingly, we never had a store first. We actually made the products and put it in hotels and shop in shops. People liked it. They asked for more. We expanded our product line and we opened our first store in 2002 in Khan Market, Delhi. And ever since, currently, right now, we have 45 stores all over India. We're also in shop in shop concept with partners like Nykaa, Shoppers Stop, Duty Free, and we have almost as large a presence on online as we do offline.
Okay.
So we have our own website. We have partnerships with Nykaa, Amazon, Flipkart, and many other retailers on the online platform. So for us, I think, simplistically put, we have our stores where customers can come in and do a touch and feel of the product, get the experience of the ambience of the store, a doctor consultation, a follow up with a doctor consultation, and they can come online and they can buy the product. And what we see from our data is that a lot of first timers walk into our stores and then the repeat purchase is happening online. A lot of youngsters in the age group of 16, 17, 18, with an acne problem or, a sudden urge to, look after their hair, or somebody in their family tells them that, listen, why don't you start looking after your skin when you're in your 20s? They'll go and they'll buy something online. They like it. They'll see a Kama store because now our presence is very wide. And they'll walk into our store and again they'll experience the brand. The challenge, how do we make it seamless? We are in the beauty business. You can't make it seamless. You can just give the avenue of sale to the customer both online and offline. What we do is through our marketing initiatives, so Instagram for quick content, Facebook for more engagement and detailed content, YouTube videos to see how do you use this, how do you apply it, then emailers because you want us to interact with you or communicate with you on a regular basis, SMSs because you want to know what's happening in our stores for an occasion or a festival, and telephone calls and write into us on inquiries at Kama Ayurveda. So we do try through our marketing initiatives to see that if you're out there and you want to participate with us as a brand, we communicate with you at the channel you're at. And by the end of it, Sujatha, we hope that the customer feels that the Kama Ayurveda brand is messaging and communicating the same thing throughout all these channels. And for us, if content is homogeneous,
Yes.
we think our brand talks the same language through all the channels.
Oh, thank you, Ratika. That's really interesting. And I'd like to move to Monica because it's similar segment. Bestseller, which is brands like Vero Moda, Jack and Joan, and so again, very premium, retail space brands. How are you, addressing this omni-channel marketing and the whole offline and online?
Essentially, we are also largely, like our business is largely, operating out of our offline stores. And experience and is what we actually tell us that we set ourselves apart from the competition. But online, it is definitely the avenue in terms of retail is to address the need for people who have the need to perhaps access trend and style and our designs immediately, just much like you would walk into one of our stores where we have the fresh drops in terms of fashion, but perhaps don't necessarily go out shopping that often. They want that immediate access. The experience on online is the ambition is to actually match and perhaps exceed that in offline, but that's a journey that we're still on. But even for our traditional stores, you can't, like she introduced the topic saying, you can't just reach out and have a singular approach in terms of the offline marketing route. You must link the two together simply because at least our TG, our customer base is very heavily on digital mediums. There is, as simple as tomorrow somebody is searching for a white shirt and I need to have be present in terms of my search engine optimization. I should immediately pop up as the store where that is available near you. On my own websites, I need to have things like, store locators and details about the stores like timing, like convenience, all that to basically link my online consumer onto my offline store where you perhaps have a bigger avenue in terms of the type of styles and designs that you have. Also, in terms of traditional, like offline, purely offline media, it's also a little more expensive and the reach is a little ambiguous as opposed to digital, marketing. And you're absolutely able to know who you're talking to. You can see their response. You can track them real time. You can have a very good view of, how people are either just browsing, trying to sort of get to know you, to actually have come in and sort of shopped, looked around, put stuff in the cart, gone away, and you're able to sort of target them much better. And that marketing is a lot more measurable. So I think that is definitely, that's my go-to route for any sort of marketing. Traditional is as and when you have a new big thing to announce, and especially it takes a lot more money. So therefore, it's a bigger reach vehicle, and therefore, you reserve that for fewer targeting opportunities. But digital is literally their mainstay, even for offline. Cannot sort of. One example, if I can think of, is Super Saturday. It's a very big property that our brands have. Where on one singular day in one of our flagship stores, we have a giant 60% off. It amazes me. I'm still 2 years onto the business, but it amazes me the lines that form outside the store for like 4-5 hours before that event starts. But again, we're able to creatively link it up, saying that you have opportunities to download a certain quick access into the store. You have a separate line, and there's a whole lot of traction around that. So that's one of my biggest 360-degree activation that brings my online and offline together. So just as an example.
Great,
yeah.
thank you. That's really nice. So moving from lifestyle to everyday goods. So Yash, if you'd like to talk to us a little bit about Ratandeep Supermarket. So for those who are not aware, this is a supermarket chain that started in Hyderabad and Secunderabad and today has spread to Bangalore as well. Supermarkets, traditionally have been offline, but of course with the advent of Big Basket and many other things, we are seeing a lot of online on that as well. So how are you managing this between the offline and the online?
Hi Sujatha, good afternoon everyone. Thanks for having me. Ratnadeep Retail is a homegrown supermarket brand based out of Hyderabad, which was originally just started as a mom and pop shop, to be very honest. It got organized much later, a couple of decades later in 2007, when we realized the potential in the growing FMCG market in India. And then from then onwards, we started expanding very traditionally still. I would say it has been the last couple of years, that's when we have actually realized the true potential of our brand and the way the landscape is dynamically changing every day. So as you asked how we are facing the market in the digital space, Ratnadeep is all about the customer experience that we cater to. Our customers are slightly more affluential people. We cater to the catchment A and B, and with slightly higher spending pockets. So we're looking at families, we're looking at traditional families who take out time to take their grandkids, to take their children out for shopping. But we are still facing a lot of competition from the digital space, now that we have expanded into Bangalore, we can see that
Yes.
because people don't really want to get out of their homes or their offices and they just want to order online. To plan marketing strategies to get people to our store and experience the sort of quality we provide, we have been doing a lot of digital ads. We have realized ATL activities can't be quantifiable in terms of an ROI. So we do geotagging. We are we are tied up with discovery-based apps where they have come around to our stores. They target the millennials which are 18 to 25. To literally put it in black and white, we are targeting people who want to munch on snacks, want who want their soft drinks with their alcohol, who want uh, who want a lot of variety of foods, instant foods. Breakfast categories is expanding a lot. So we are forming our advertisements and our communication strategy in such a way that we are using those triggers. We are using the triggers of a boring Wednesday or a Monday blues or a weekend binge to say. So we use those triggers and we are trying to drive traffic to our stores. And we have also tied up with a lot of hyper-local players like Swiggy and Dunzo,
Okay.
which are driving our B2C online sales. So we have taken a step back in fully investing ourselves into an online platform, at least for now, because we still feel that brick and mortar will not really die down that easily because
Yeah.
we are in a convenience format where we are catering to a neighborhood. We are catering to a catchment which is maybe a 3 minute or 5 minute walk, a 10-minute drive to the max. We are not catering to a catchment which have to plan in advance to come down to a store. So all our communication strategy is based on that. Our communication strategy is area specific.
Okay.
So if I'm in an IT predominant area, our strategy is very different. We are sending out SMSs and communication after 5 when they're generally on the way back home.
So that's
And when we are in a based area, we are looking at an ATL activity, or sometimes we are doing newspaper advertisements where people read newspaper, where they're not that uh, digitally savvy to speak. So it's a lot of mix of a lot of activities that we are doing. And I mean, in the coming times, we are still planning a B2C platform, which will be online based because that is the requirement of the future.
Thanks. It's interesting. You're doing a lot of geo-targeting and different strategies. Um, Vikas, if we come to you, and I know we talked about it as well, how a brand like Raymond in the retail space, it's lifestyle, it's retail, also does a lot of interesting things in both areas to get the whole omni-channel presence. Would you like to talk about it a little?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Sujatha, and hello to each one of out here. I think as a marketer, I think the first thing that I've always learned and I imbibe is about storytelling. I think there's nothing mesmerizing than any one of us, each one of us, to hear stories, create stories, and part of those stories. And I think Raymond is one of those iconic brands that actually has been creating stories and mesmerizing each one of us, in one way or the other way, and trying to build in the whole special occasion, the special bonds, and we celebrate it with the Raymond. I think so. That's what the brand is very well positioned. You don't see iconic brands in men's category a lot, and a brand with 94 year of legacy, I think, is a big thing on a thing. I think the way we have looked up at the Raymond brand, is about contemporizing it, in terms of our product, in terms of our communication. What has been a very key to us is digital. Honestly, digital actually has helped us create a consumer demand, especially in the emerging towns of India. So, like your tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 markets where our retail presence was not much strong. And Raymond has the presence more in the tier 1, 2, 2, 3. It's because of the digital, advocacy or digital savvy our customers, and thanks to our e-commerce portals and everything, consumer demand is actually going up because they know the access, they know the styles, the collections, and availability. And I think that has been a very big surge for us. And I think the surge was so huge that we actually created a new retail format itself, which is a mini version of our Raymond shop, and we actually opened almost more than 300 stores in less than 2 years. It just speaks about the whole agility model that the Raymond brings into our customers out here. And I think that has been a very big part of it. Yeah. Coming back on the storytelling, we all like stories. Not everybody would like the same story. So we actually use different medium to engage with our customers. And I think digital play a very critical role part out here. What actually is working with us some point in time, is the way we sometimes celebrate our campaigns in a specific catchment of the market. So whether there is this regional festival which is happening in a certain part of a market, or we having a special day like Father's Day, Mother's Day, World Environment Day, it is a way we actually building the product relevance for our customers to come and be part of the experience. Actually, what's happening with the digital is that it's becoming a two-way communication, and I think the word of mouth is becoming very powerful with digital being in place now. So the way consumers are now actually becoming advocates for a brand, and including the Raymond as well. So the moment they see anything nice, anything good, they'll immediately go and speak about it on the social media and tell their friends about it. I think the whole consumer advocacy part, and I think the whole demand generation that the consumers are doing along with the business brands out here, I think just puts us into complete new zone of an experience part out here. And I think at Raymond and for all of us, it actually gives a lot more reasons for a consumer to come to the store and experience the brand with us. So I think the whole stickiness of the customer that we all look forward, I think has been going up many folds.
Thank you. So actually the thing that ties all of us together, what I've been hearing is about how do you create experiences for your customers at different points. So let me turn on to Amit, who's actually on the other side, who actually helps create experiences for brands. So from Altudo, do you want to tell a little bit about what you do and then how this, it contributes to all of this?
So we heard we heard the fantastic stories that they had, their success stories. A lot of hard work goes behind that. And we are the guys who actually make these stories happen. We are a company which essentially helps brands create customer experience, personalization. We help them get more revenue out of their existing MarTech stack, and we help consult them and create their tech stack for the future. Too much jargon, let me break it down for you. Right, so if you paid attention to what their stories were all about, it was about innovation, it was about creating that customer experience, it was about creating these multiple touch points. Let's take a step back, because the real fun is at the back end, and that's where the real hard work is. Right, so we are at an omni-channel forum, we live in an omni-channel world. What that means is customers don't buy channels, they buy brands. What are brands for them? A brand today, and this is this is a quote from yours truly. Brands today, or rather marketing today, is all about creating customer experiences. They could be serendipitous, but they need to be repetitive. The role of a marketer is to create those moments of truth which makes them come back for more. 4 things. What an omni-channel marketer and all of us do. I'll break it down in very simple terms for you. Know your customer, know who they are, what their preferences are. That's what they expect from you. Nobody likes being marketed at. They expect you to offer them what they need at the time they need it. So all these ads that we run, they're futile if you're not reaching them at the right time with the solution to their pain area. Second, woo them. Acquire those customers. Delight them. Delight them with a fantastic experience. And I'm going to use the term CX quite often. If you don't know, Gartner says in a CMO survey, CX is the #1 priority world over for CMOs. And it's not because of anything else, it's because CX is what brands compete on today. Right? And last but not the least, how do you make them stay forever? So know them, woo them, delight them, make them stay forever. This is what omnichannel marketing is all about today. Now, when we talk about customer experience, why does it fail? The reason why a customer experience fails is because there's no cross-channel strategy for brands. And what I'm going to tell you today is, so I can take you through case studies where I can tell you what Nutricia Danone did, what Lakme did, what L'Oreal did. But why not give you the real crux of the matter? So I'm going to take you through the basics of these things, so you understand these things in better detail. So one, they don't have a cross-channel strategy. They don't know what their customer journeys are. If you are a marketer, you would know that with customer journey with your brand is never unidirectional. It's not unichannel. There are managed and semi-managed and unmanaged touch points. Much of what they were talking about today. So they don't have a cross-channel strategy. That means their brand orchestration fails. If you don't know what your customer touch points are, what they need at that point, your campaigns are going to fail. Two, data is, you don't have a single view of customer. A single view of customer is at your store, at your web shop, at your when they're placing orders through Amazon or Flipkart, or when they're responding to your campaigns. Do you create a customer profile, an iterative customer profile each time they touch base with you? So the example of that SMS that you get from a service provider which tells you, hey, you haven't shopped with us. What if that SMS said, 3 years back, you bought a poster bed with us. Here are the new designs. Would you like a makeover? How do you do that? Is by knowing your customers and their preferences. That by creating those personas. And last but not the least, one of the biggest areas why CX fails is because your tech stack, or rather, let me call it, it's no longer a tech stack. It's actually a digital experience stack. If it's a fallacy to say that there is a way to go for digital, sorry. It is already digital. Every touch point is digital in one way or the other. So if your tech stack is not integrated, what that means is this customer data is in silos. If you don't break those silos, if you don't integrate these digital experience platforms, you're going to fail. Why do marketers fail? So many channels, very less insights. Why? You don't have a single view of customer. No personalization. So when you sell to me, at least identify me as Amit, right? Identify me as a customer who bought 2 years back something very expensive or non-expensive with me. And then when I visit your website or when I visit your store, can you personalize my experience? That's what's gonna make you win. 3, when you don't do personalization, your customer experience falls. When that customer experience falls, you spend more on customer acquisition. When you spend more on customer acquisitions, you're already answerable for return on marketing investments. How do you justify that? Your churn increases, your cross-sell and upsell opportunities don't exist. This is what we make brands realize. And this what modern marketing is all about.
Thank you. And actually, it's a perfect leeway to my next question, which is I'd like to ask and open it, whoever would like to give an example. What are specific initiatives you've taken to ensure what Amit said, the right audience is being reached with the right messaging, which is an engaging experience for them? And like I said, anyone here who would like to give an example which the audience can benefit from? Okay, Kashyap. So on Pepperfry brand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when consumers engage with us, they obviously, and there are 2 levels of engagement. One is they just come, they browse, and they go away. Okay. One is they come to our site, and I'm using a digital example right now, not an omni-channel example. The other one would be when they come and they buy something from us. And in this case, it would be people who, buy something from us, whether it's from the store or from any of our digital platforms. Nowadays, the app is the most popular way that people are buying furniture also. So primarily the app. So they buy something from us, and we are then able to, they come back and then they repeat. We are then able to segment these customers. I'm going to talk about a very simple segmentation model, which many of you must be following, but there are a few layers that we've added, which help us to give a better picture, I think, of the consumer. So a standard segmentation model would be something called an RFM, a recency, frequency, monetary value. So when did this person buy from us? Did they buy recently or did they buy long time back? How frequently do they buy from us? Do they come to us regularly and buy, or was it a one-time buy? What is the monetary value? Do they buy into low average order values, or is it higher order values? So these are fairly standard. It helps you to get a sense of what the customers are buying. We've done a couple of additional cuts to this. We have something called a premium score. A premium score is, let's say there are 2 customers and both of them bought table lamp. Okay. And let's say the median price of a table lamp on Pepperfry is 2,000. And one customer buys a 1,000 rupee table lamp and the other customer buys a 3,000 rupee table lamp. We are able to then tag that particular transaction as a premium transaction. And similarly, when you collect history of multiple transactions on the site, you know that there are certain people who buy into the premium that is available in a particular selection. So let's say the same customers are going to go, let's say look for a chair. The low premium customer might look for a simple chair, maybe with no cushioning, maybe without even arms, whereas the high premium customer might look for a wing chair with, extreme design focus and so on. So that was the logic. So we put premium score as a factor. Then there is another thing called category of acquisition or category of first activity, COFA. Uh, what happens there is that when a customer buys, let's say, a bed, there is a high chance that they might buy a mattress, they might buy a bed sheet, they might buy a pillow, okay, and so on. Obviously, you can apply logic to this and say, okay, logical next step. But there is a lot of data. There is tons of millions of transactions worth of data that's available on our platform, and we are able to get relationships that might not seem logical, okay, but the data shows it, okay. So, so for example, somebody who bought category A first will buy category B or product group B next. So just like the bed example. So we tag people on the basis of category of activity. So the moment you have recency, frequency, monetary value, premium score, and category of first acquisition, you have 5 parameters through which you can form a picture of your customer, and then you can, based on the various cuts, you can potentially create, you can potentially create n number of segments, and for each of the segments, then you say, okay, what is the kind of SMS that I send them? What is the kind of push notification I send them? What is the kind of emailer I send them? In the emailer, what do I put? Do I put discounts, or do I put, if it's a premium, high monetary value customer whose first activity was buying a poof or a unique trunk or something? This is obviously somebody who's extremely evolved. When they look at their home, they're looking for unique pieces, they're looking for premium products, they're willing to spend money. I mean, it doesn't make much sense for me to send him, hey, take 10% off on a 3,000 rupee item. Okay. I would then focus on showing them great merchandising. I would show them the latest collection. On the back end, I have my merchants tagged as premium merchants or merchants with high design score. I would put up their collection in the email when I send to them. So, and somebody else who's, more value focused would get, let's say, a discount and would get simpler product, and so on. Obviously, while it looks like there is a lot of exactness to it, it is not. I mean, there is, even the stage at which we are, maybe some other people are at a higher stage of evolution. We are still working with a broad set of about a dozen odd segments on the basis of the 5 parameters that we took, and it might not match. Okay, but the thing is, when we checked our results without the segmentation and with the segmentation, obviously our open rates, our click-through rates, and our purchase behavior is much better once you're able to create this detailed, segmentation.
Great, thank you. One of the things that has also changed in when, for moving into omnichannel marketing is the role of the agencies, because there's no longer one agency for, above the line, one for below the line, one for digital. So again, open to anyone in the panel. How have you helped your agencies to, cope with this, change with this, and actually deliver what you're looking at and measure the impact of the same? So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, today every business is focused about their top line, their growth, their sales, their profits. But nobody is actually setting the brand strategy very right. I mean, the role of an agency comes in, it's all about the strategy. Strategy comes from insight. And that insight comes from analyzing your competitor behavior or the way the market is moving or your consumer behavior. I mean, we, if I had to give you an example, we, after 30 years of being in the industry, we did a complete rebranding because we realized that, okay, we have to come out of that shell today. And that sort of insight was brought to us by our agency. Maybe your customers are getting lost, maybe they're moving towards the newer brands, maybe they're moving towards the national brands, or they're moving online. To understand that and to provide that insight is the role of an agency today. And not just that, I mean, they essentially become your partner hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Because they are as much invested in your growth as they're invested in their own growth. Because, I mean, be it media campaigns, be it digital campaigns, be it an offline campaign, like we were discussing earlier also, everything has to be in sync because you don't know where an ad is displayed, who's viewing it. So a multi-channel communication partner with a strategy which is very much tailored to your brand needs is very required today. And I think that's where a, an agency plays a very pivotal role in leveraging your brand to the world outside.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we have about 8 to 9 minutes left. I do want to give 30 seconds to each panel member to give their closing thoughts. But is there any question that stands out from the audience that they'd like to ask? Sure. Yes. I will stop the questions at 3 minutes to make sure everybody gets the last time to make a closing.
Yeah, my question would be to, my name is Praveen Prem Kumar, and my question would be to Kama, Bestseller, and Raymond. What's the role of GWPs today, and where do you see that going? We didn't talk. Yep.
GWP.
Which is gift with purchase. So.
Gift with, so Monica, Ratika, anybody? Yeah. Monica?
So, I think...
Maybe you can say what's GWP for the
yeah,
audience
so
also.
GWP is gift with purchase.
Yes.
And I think, I think there have been different phases in the retail, scenario in India. And we're saying the customer gets used to discount. And I think is definitely working more towards value. And I think, therefore, how you position and, one of the simple ways to do a GWP is the fact that out there is competition and they're giving something which is essentially of value. So obviously, when we've done that in the past, and you'll obviously consider, what is going to be really exciting for the consumer at that point. So if it's Vero Moda and you link beauty and fashion, and you think something around beauty accessories, and if it's Jack and Jones, and it's about the young guy who's going to college, and something like a Bluetooth speaker. And so we definitely think through in terms of the DNA of the brand when we link up with GWP. But again, I think it depends on the phase of where your business is. Very often, if you're introducing a new product line, you literally want to use that as your gift with purchase, saying that we're also FII getting big time into footwear, and maybe if you buy a certain quantity and you get, say, a free accessory or a free part of a category, and you experience the brand therefore a little bit more. And I think I'm a big favorite of that. I think essentially, why would you even want to dilute the experience that your consumer has with any other object or any other brand? So I think the best space always falls back with you and your brand, and value back on the product, perhaps in some kind of future purchase, or again, depending on the TG, very often it is about instant gratification, so one way or the other. So I think GWPs are sort of like in its time of the year. So there is, when there's the people out there and there's traveling, and then there's a whole lot of travel baggage GWPs, and that it's what people are thinking of and they're buying, and it's a great value add. So you must consider where your brand is in its life cycle, where the consumer is in the trajectory of, I think, perhaps the year and their purchase cycle. And ideally, if my point of view, it should be your brand experience through and through. If that's something you can achieve through the GWP, I think that's a win-win.
That's a great thing. It has to link back to your brand. We have time for one more question. Yep. If you can just stand and say it loudly. Or there's a mic coming to you. Hang on, there's a mic coming to you. Yeah.
I'm Karthik Kumar. My question is to Mr. Yash. You said you started as a mom and pop store and you as a family-based company. We could see there is a huge development in Tier 3 and Tier 2 cities. You suddenly moved from Hyderabad to Bangalore. We could see there is a huge competition in Bangalore. So what is the idea behind moving from Hyderabad to Bangalore?
The idea behind entering a Bangalore market was that the size of the market is much bigger than Hyderabad. And the concept we are in, we are looking at an educated customer base. We are looking at a customer base that seeks value, not in terms of price, but in terms of the experience, in terms of the time they save when they shop with us, for the kind of product assortment that we provide, and the quality, of course. That was the idea behind entering a Bangalore market. Again, another practicality point was that it's close to Hyderabad, having a central pack house and having logistics support towards Bangalore is much easier.
Okay,
That was-
thanks. I think his suggestion is you can also look to tier 3 and 4 later. Okay, so what I'd like is literally in 30 seconds, if each of you could give out one, key observation that the audience could take away on omni-channel and branding. So we'll start with you.
So as I earlier mentioned, is that digital plays an integral role. I think for me, what's critical is the last mile. Because it is actually at the last mile that we actually fall. So it's critical for us that the experience, what starts in our minds, in our papers, in our strategy, gets delivered to the customer the way we envisaged it. So I think as a marketer, as a business, as a thing, we should ensure that the customer experience at the last mile is beautiful and the way we envisage. And I think that becomes stickiness for him to keep coming back to it. That's where I will leave it. Because rest everything is a medium. If we haven't reached a consumer the way we want to reach them up, everything will fall back on us. I think the last mile for me is a bigger part for it.
Great, seeing it through to the last mile. Monica?
I think just a few ideas that, we all discussed, things like, customer experience, of course, again, and targeting the customer. So I think, again, thinking of your customer as one person and therefore having a one-size-fits-all sort of communication strategy, essentially with known not to work. But it's also important, again, like, Amit mentioned, also saying that it's good to show the consumer in some way or the other that I know where you are, I know where your journey is, and perhaps let me help orchestrate that journey best for you and best for me. So, for example, if I see somebody's purchase behavior and I notice that this person doesn't shop too much or is on the lower end of in terms of spends with my brand, perhaps does not have the means to spend too much on fashion, then I will position my communication to them in terms of saying, why don't you buy this? It's a great outfit that stretches from office to a brunch to a dinner if you jazz it up with something. And similarly, if I know people who are perhaps spending a lot and they're just loyalists of the brand, how do I ensure that in the number of clothes, pieces that they have, that why they should still feel the need to own something like this? Why? And then give them something that nobody else can give them or that not necessarily money can buy in terms of customer experience. So translating loyalty into opportunities that perhaps is like a personalized shopper assistance or some kind of customization on my own product, so that's the other thing they feel, right? Like I'm buying a product, but I still want to be different in some way.
Great.
So just essentially just recognize their journey and sort of really amplify it as best as you can.
Perfect. Amit, you gave a lot of pearls of wisdom, but just one quick one if you'd like to close with.
Sure. One, we're in an omni-channel world. Remember, the customer is in the middle of the e-commerce ecosystem or the omni-channel ecosystem. The retailers, the retail marketplaces, 3PLs. The customer is at the center. It's important that you know him. Two, brands like what Kashyap mentioned, what they do, they created a category, right? And they didn't do it just by marketing the hell out of it. What he mentioned was customer journey mapping. It was creating customer profiles. Extremely important. Three, remember, customer is at the end of the day looking for convenience to click and collect, reserve and collect, get it delivered at his home. If your business can enable that, it'll be fantastic. And last, CX is the common denominator. Brands who are able to score well at customer experience are able to increase their revenue by 3x and 2.5x per customer per month. Nutrition Danone did that 70% month on month and 140% buyback rate month on month in just 1 year flat, only by personalizing.
Okay, great. Yash, a quick tip?
Yeah. I feel that we're in a very dynamically evolving world. So as entrepreneurs or as anybody in the industry, in any sort of industry, we should be ready to adapt to newer technologies, to ready to be implementing them and move on and on. That's a major takeaway. I think everyone's covered almost everything.
Great. Ratika?
I'm not going to talk about, last few words on omni-channel. I'm just going to say that you've heard all of us. We've all been in marketing for I think, years now. I think whenever you set out to do something for your brand, because we are at MAPIC IRF, and this is about retail, you know what? Just put yourself at the center of it. I'm a customer of Pepperfry. Sujatha is a customer of Kama, maybe.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Monica is a customer of Kama, hopefully, Kama Ayurveda. We are all customers to each other. So, you know what? Just put yourself in the center of any strategy and say, does that work for me? Will I get up in the morning, look at my Instagram? Will I, at the end of the day, swipe through my Facebook? Will I actually get onto my WhatsApp? And if you say yes to yourself, chances are 9 out of 10, the customer will say
do the
yes to
same.
you.
Great. That's
And
wonderful.
that's it.
Thank you.
So
Great. Lovely. And I am a customer of yours and yours. So,
thank you.
Kashyap?
So very quickly, I think the customer today gives us a lot of signals, and in line with some of the comments here about keeping the customer in the center, I think an organization's ability to listen to the customer, their digital footprint, their digital actions, and bringing it back and connecting it to your offering actually can give you big step jumps in growth. And I think any organization that focuses on listening to the customer, especially digitally, can gain a lot of insight which can be put towards driving good high ROI campaigns.
Great. Thank you. And I actually have learned a lot from this panel. I have 4 quick takeaways. One is that I actually found that digital is fueling the demand for brick and mortar. So, it is not happening that the offline is ever going to go away because of digital. It actually fuels the demand for each. So that's great. The importance of having, like Ratika said, brand and consumer advocates. So people who are speaking positively, who stand for your brand. Your customer today is omni-channel. So I don't think as marketers we have a choice to say we want to be here and we don't want to be here. If your customer's there, we have to make sure we're there. And like Amit said, we have to have the right tech stack, or what did you call it? Digital experience stack. Digital experience stack. So in 45 minutes, we've tried to communicate and cover this very, very wide topic of omni-channel marketing, integrated marketing, digital advertising. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for being wonderful panelists. And we're going to be out. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to discuss it after that. Thank you.